Hello and welcome to another episode of Gametime Situation.
Well, Brendan, this is it. This is the last episode of Game Time for the year.
Yes, some of us will be moving on to the real world where making puns and telling stupid jokes on TV doesn't happen. Others of us have a few more seasons of AU sports to celebrate.
Yep. Well, while this is the last episode of Game Time this year, we'll be back next year to cover all of the latest.
Well, that's enough going back to the future. Let's look forward to the past and review what's happened in the last weeks of AU sports.
Sounds good to me. We'll take a look at this past Eagle Sports weekend, but we'll also take a look back at some memorable times in AU sports from the past year.
It really has been a historic year in AU sports, and we're glad you could join us tonight to relive some of the madness from the fall and winter.
Well, if we're covering a year's worth of sports in just 30 minutes, shouldn't we get started here?
You want me to ask the question, don't you?
You can do what you want.
You want me to ask the question?
What question?
What time is it?
It's game time.
Who? I'll start this story with a question for you, Matt. Is there a team in the GLIAC that seems to win a lot? Like the Yankees or the Duke of the GLIAC? Anyone come to mind?
Grand Valley sounds right.
Grand Valley? Yeah, well, we're sick and tired of talking about Grand Valley and their successes on this show. The Eagle baseball team was tired of it too. The Eagles led the GLIAC by a game and a half heading into a huge road series this weekend against the Lakers. And Ashland disposed of Grand Valley on its own turf with a convincing, impressive 3-game sweep of the Lakers. In Game 1, the Eagles stormed out of the gate to score 3 runs against the Lakers. While GVSU responded in the bottom half with its own 3-run output, the Eagles broke through in the 5th inning and put the game out of reach with 6 runs in the inning, taking advantage of 3 Laker errors. Eagles starter A.J. Meyer went all 7 in the 11-4 win, allowing 3 earned runs on 6 hits with no walks and 2 strikeouts. In Game 2, the Eagles actually trailed 1-0 after 2 innings, but once again they used a 6-run inning to pull away from Grand Valley. The inning included a pair of bases-loaded walks, and Tyson Rowland capped the inning with a 3-run triple to give the Eagles a 6-1 win. The Lakers added 2 runs in the 5th inning, but starter Aaron Hilt and relievers Jeremy Sloan and Kevin Dunn closed out the game and preserved the 6-3 win. Hilt earned the win, tossing 6 1/3 innings, allowing 3 runs on 8 hits. Matt, that covers Saturday's doubleheader. How were the Eagles able to pull off the sweep on Sunday?
In the series finale on Sunday, the Eagles again jumped out on top early, just like in Game 1 with 3 runs. Grand Valley would respond with 2 runs in the bottom of the inning, but the Eagles got all those runs back and more when they scratched out another trio of runs in the 2nd inning that included an RBI triple by Mike Quinn and an RBI single by Matt McAllister. The Eagles only led 6-5 going into the 7th inning when they added another pair of runs on a 2-run single by catcher Josh Kirsten. Austin Ritson put the game away in the 9th with a 2-run homer to make it 10-6. Ben Menard got the start and allowed 4 earned runs on 10 hits in 8 innings. Kevin Dunn allowed just a hit to clean up the game in the 9th inning and polish off Ashland's sweep of Grand Valley. The Eagles now own a commanding 4.5-game lead over the Lakers in the GLIAC and have moved into first place in the regional rankings. If that ranking holds, then the Eagles will host the regional tournament in Akron or Chillicothe. The Eagles are on the field now in a Game 2 of a doubleheader with Saginaw Valley. They did drop Game 1 by a score of 5-4. The Eagles were unable to recover from a 5-run first-inning deficit. Jeremy Sloan tossed 6 1/3 scoreless innings to relieve starter Brian Longjack, who took the loss. Wow, that's a lot of baseball. So we've got that diamond covered. Now we're going to take our first time out, and we'll be back with more Game Time Situation right after this. Stay tuned.
These are poor coal mining communities where there's no jobs and no health care. Last year we had 7,000 people, so we know it's needed. Instead of being stationary in one clinic, we bring this clinic to 8 communities. People appreciate so much that we're able to be there with them in a moment of crisis. And that is a gift which keeps me on the road and keeps me going.
Have you saved a life today?
I took 2 flood victims to a shelter.
I donated a day's pay to help a family that lost everything in a fire.
Have you saved a life today?
I teach a class in infant CPR.
I donated a pint of blood.
Have you saved a life today?
No. But today somebody saved mine.
The American Red Cross. Together, we can save a life.
Do you think you'd notice if you were missing half of your money, or half of your friends, your better half, your half and half? What if you were missing half of your kidney function? You'd think you'd notice, but you could have chronic kidney disease right now and not even know it. According to the National Kidney Foundation, 20 million people have chronic kidney disease, and 20 million more may be at risk and not even know it. Chronic kidney disease is a growing epidemic. Anyone with high blood pressure, diabetes, or a family history of chronic kidney disease is at risk. Certain ethnic groups are at an even higher risk. Early diagnosis and treatment of this disease and its complications are vitally important. To get the whole story on chronic kidney disease, talk to your doctor and visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org or call 1-800-622-9010 for a free brochure. Because when it comes to chronic kidney disease, you might not know the half of it.
The Eagles softball team traveled to Findlay yesterday, full of confidence after taking 3 of 4 games over Grand Valley and Ferris State. That's right, the softball team also had a message for the once dominating Lakers, and they issued that message with the doubleheader sweep on Sunday. The Eagles then turned around and earned a split against the GLIAC's top team, Ferris State. Then on Wednesday, Ashland turned in perhaps its most dominating performance of the season and a perfect sweep of Findlay. The Eagles received 2 great pitching performances from freshman Emlyn Canarum and sophomore Logan Hersey. Canarum led the Eagles onto the field in Game 1 and handed down a 2-hit shutout to the Oilers. The Eagles got on the board early with an RBI single by Alyssa Kelly, and Shannon Gray added a home run later in an 8-0 Ashland rout. Game 2 is much of the same story for the Eagles, as Hersey went all 7 innings and allowed just 6 hits and 1 walk and 8 strikeouts. Hersey was performed excellently in the batter's box as well, I don't think that's a word, this season, leading the Eagles with 9 home runs and 25 RBIs. She is just 5 home runs away from tying AU's all-time single-season mark. Aaron Porter was 3 for 3 in the game, and Erica Miller and Brianna Woody each added RBIs in the 4-0 victory. The Eagles are now tied atop the GLIAC with a record of 18-4, along with Ferris State and Saginaw Valley. Before Wednesday's games, the Eagles also learned that they are currently the top team in the region, meaning they would also host the regional tournament should they hold on to that ranking with just 4 games remaining against Lake Superior State and Northwood this weekend. Brendan, that's all I have for softball. The outdoor track teams were in action at Miami of Ohio. How did that go?
The Ashland outdoor track teams put up a solid performance at the All-Ohio Championships, beating out every other Division II opponent at the meet. The men's team finished in 3rd place overall and actually beat 2 Division I MAC schools, Kent State and Miami, Ohio. In the overall standings, the women's team finished in 7th place out of 12 teams at the meet. Carlin Isles won the GLIAC's Track Athlete of the Week award for his performance. The freshman won the 100 and 200 meter dashes and was a member of the 4x400 relay team that finished first. Isles is an automatic qualifier in nationals in the 200 and 100 meters. Ashland's Dan Tierney took home the gold in the pole vault, and Kurt Roberts was the winner in the shot put. In the hammer throw, 3 Eagles finished in the top 7 as Ryan Lofney finished first, with Mike Jeffrey in 3rd and Chase Snadacki in 7th. On the women's side, Alyssa Klein finished 2nd in the 100-meter hurdles and 4th in the 100-meter dash. Steph Abbott finished in 3rd in the long jump, and Michelle Stark was 4th in hammer. So after all these solid performances, working toward the national meet, the Eagles are at the Stan Lyons Invitational this Saturday in Indianapolis. We're going to take our 2nd timeout right now and be back with more Game Time Situation right after this.
My name's Andy McDonald. I ride this useless wooden toy for a living. It's hard. I've been doing it for 13 years. I'm still lame. I do a trick called a 540. Took me a good 6 years to learn. There's a whole generation of skateboarders out there that are just as talented athletically as any basketball or football player. It takes somebody that's not going to be afraid to fall down a lot, because you definitely will fall down. You're not a failure until you refuse to get back up. Drugs are only going to hinder what I'm trying to do. That right there is my idea of getting high.
What do a store owner, a mother of 2, and an honor student have in common? They've all recovered from a mental health problem, and they're all part of our lives. Mental health problems are surprisingly common. They affect almost every family in America, maybe even yours. Get the facts about mental health. Call 1-800-789-2647 because mental health is part of all our lives.
Here's something to think about. New research shows that regular exercise and a heart-healthy diet may help to reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Thinking ahead now might make all the difference tomorrow. For more ways to maintain your brain, visit the Alzheimer's Association at alz.org.
Hi, Mr. President. My parents believe that eating meals together will make our country strong. Is this something that you did when you were a kid?
I did eat with my family so long as my mother wasn't cooking.
It's not good making fun of your mother, even if you are president, but it is good to have dinner with your kids. We know the more often children have dinner with their families, the less likely they are to smoke, drink, and use drugs. So simply having dinner together can help your children forever, even if you're not a great cook.
Welcome back to Game Time Situation. Now, with this being the final episode of Game Time of the semester, we thought it'd be a good idea to take a look at how this year has shaped out for the Eagles. And it all started with the Ashland University football team this fall. The Eagles completed maybe its most historic season in school history this past year. They not only made the playoffs for the second straight season, the team also hosted the first ever playoff game in AU history, won its first playoff game in history, and provided AU with many memories of a remarkable season. After the first 2 games of the year, the promising season looked dull and gloomy, but then AU went on a tear. They won their next 6 games by a total of 91 points and looked poised and ready to make that infamous playoff run. But guess who we ran into next? Those Lakers from Grand Valley. I said we were tired of talking about it. The Eagles played solid throughout the contest, but the Lakers made just a few more plays down AU 48-42. Ashland won the final 2 games of the season and made the playoffs, though. Grand Valley dunked AU in the second round after AU defeated Minnesota State. The Eagles finished the season with a 9-4 record and 8-2 in the GLIAC. The highlight of the home regular season came in a battle with Findlay in the finale. With the score tied at 38, the Eagles were receiving the kickoff after an Oilers score. That's when lightning struck for this week's track athlete of the week, freshman Carlin Isles.
It's Carlin Isles from the 16. He's looking for space. He doesn't have a lot of it, but he tries to create it, and he does. He creates it. He's running down the sideline, the 40, the 35. He's running. He's got all the sideline to go. He's going to go in for the score. 2 minutes to play in the fourth quarter, and Carlin Isles gives the Ashland Eagles the lead as he sprints up the sideline to give the Eagles a one-touchdown lead. A big special teams play. He looked like he ran out of room at the 35, and he just continued to run.
Everybody on the Ashland side of the ball is...
I don't know about that call. I might have gotten a little excited with the call. And with that kickoff return, though, the Eagles vaulted into the home playoff game against Minnesota State, which the Eagles won before faltering the second time in Allendale. On the season, Billy Cundiff was the GLIAC Player of the Year, Nate Hollins was named to the Cactus Bowl roster, and Nick Belenko won the Commissioner's Award for AU. Beware Eagle challengers. Next year, the Eagles will have a new stadium, but the same firepower to make another run deep into the playoffs. Matt? Now, I heard that the men's soccer team made quite a turnaround this year after a disappointing 2007 season.
Right. How does a team respond from going 0-17-1 in a season? You would think they would just pack it in for next season as well. But the men's soccer team went on a run into the nation's top 10 before losing in the first round of the NCAA postseason. The Eagles started off incredibly hot, winning their first 13 games. Ashland then had the opportunity to host another top 10 team in the country, Northern Kentucky, who is a perennial power in Division II soccer. In the first night game in AU soccer history, the Eagles and Norsemen battled in a 1-1 tie in the most hyped soccer game this campus has ever seen. The Eagles faltered in their next game, but rallied to win 3 of their last 5 regular season games. Ashland rematched NKU in their first round of the NCAA playoffs in Kansas City. Ashland fell behind 3-0 in the first half, and playing without leading scorer Adam Spanbauer, the Eagles were only able to put up 2 goals in the second half flurry. Ashland finished as the top team in school history with a 15-4-2 record. We're going to take our final time out, and we'll take a look back with a recap of winter sports when we come back after this.
Whoops. Sorry. I must have inherited my driving skills from my birth mom.
I don't know about that, but you definitely got her hair and eyes.
What about her vision?
Vision?
Yeah, she had the vision to choose you and Mom to be my parents, didn't she?
You got a point. Okay, pull forward. Let's try it again. And this time, try using some of that vision, huh?
Adoption. It's about love.
Whoa.
A message from LDS Family Services.
Living with diabetes is the pits.
When I wake up, the first thing I have to do is check my blood sugar.
I just want to feel like all the other kids without pricking my fingers or injecting myself with insulin.
Diabetes is rough on my whole family.
When I was diagnosed, my mom couldn't stop crying. But imagine a cure.
Right now, as many as 3 million children and adults are living with type 1 diabetes. They will never outgrow it. Some will face complications like kidney failure, blindness, and heart disease. That's why the science the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation is supporting is so critical. Imagine a cure.
Welcome back to Game Time Situation. The Lady Eagle basketball team had high expectations coming into the 2008 season. The team returned 5 seniors and only lost 1 player from the 07 team. Hopes were high for head coach Sue Ramsey. The Eagles scrapped and clawed their way to a 17-11 record over the past season, as well as a 13-9 GLIAC record. The Eagles made it to the GLIAC quarterfinals, where they would meet again Grand Valley, the team who had beaten them already twice this season before. It's very hard to beat a team 3 times in one season, but the Lakers managed to do just that as they knocked out the senior-led Eagles 59-49. The Eagles lose seniors Alethea Lamberson, Lisa Grau, Lindsay Warren, Jessica Minch, and Betsy Morrison, but a young core returns for Coach Ramsey. Junior Lacey Romine looks to be the leader, with Lindsay Gott and Rachel Portman as her wing players. The Eagles will be young next year, but they will definitely be competitive with Coach Ramsey at the helm. Brendan, the men's team struggled a bit this year, but did they pull off an exciting victory over that team up north? Tell us about that.
Blind squirrels find acorns every now and then, and that's how the Ashland basketball team felt all last season. The Eagles started off solid, defeating Mount Vernon Nazarene 109-99 in a memorable game that had Brett Wackerly scoring 26 and Cale Richardson 30, and edged out the scoring duo of Ben Falkenberg and Dan Borchardt. That wasn't the only highlight of the 08-09 season, though. The Eagles also won a tremendous game at home against the Grand Valley State Lakers. The Eagles were playing in a tight game against the 7th-ranked Lakers. Almost 1 year to the day, the Eagles knocked off current national champion Findlay. This is what transpired in the last 10 seconds.
Wackerly's got the ball, 10 seconds to go, 8 seconds now. Richardson over to Wackerly. Wackerly being defended on the perimeter, can't find space, shoots the 3 ball. Wackerly shot it!
Wackerly got it!
Wackerly hits the shot, 2.9 seconds left from the win. They're going to try and get the players off the floor. They're going to need to call a timeout here. Timeout called by...
Wackerly got it! Oh, he got caught in that corner. Him and Richardson in the corner. Lions had the right mindset. They knew who to go to. Wackerly, they're going to give...
I think I'm just a little out on the volume side. I think that's the only thing I need to work on. That would be it for the highlights, though, in AU's last season, as they lost 11 of their last 14 games, and Roger Lyons called it quits in early March. The Eagles also lose Wackerly and Tyler Rosenberger from this year's team to graduation. But the Eagles do have new head coach Eagle, John Ellenwood, as the coach, and Ashland is looking to rebuild and contend with the likes of Findlay and Grand Valley for the GLIAC title next year. Matt, the Eagle indoor track team was impressive this season. What transpired at the end of their season?
The men's and women's indoor track team sprinted to the finish line of their season. Get it? Sprinted?
That's what they do in track. They sprint.
Both teams finished with the number 4 ranking in Division II and also brought back lots of hardware. Dan Tierney won the national title in the pole vault, and several others were named All-Americans, including Carlin Isles, his 3rd mention on this show. Edwin Smith, Joe Horn, Nick Belanco, Kurt Roberts, and Alyssa Klain and Kelly Ash all were successful as well in a very successful season for the GLIAC champs.
So Matt, this is going to be it for the last game time, but I think we're going to talk a little bit baseball here. We've got the baseball season starting up, and the Indians have not gotten off to a good start, but what's surprised you so far about this baseball season?
In a good way, surprising me. I'm very surprised with the Seattle Mariners and the Kansas City Royals. The Royals really have never been good, at least the 20 years I've been on this earth. But this year they've just been playing a lot better baseball. Their pitching is really improved, and their hitting is also very impressive as well. But what really impresses me is Seattle out in the AL West. Ken Griffey Jr. is back in his original team's colors. He's got that original 24 number back. Seattle's looking very good. National League side, it's more of a disappointing thing, and it's teams like the Philadelphia Phillies, the New York Mets, even my Atlanta Braves. Those teams, you want them to contend for the NL East, and the Florida Marlins are playing great in the NL East right now.
Yeah, you would expect that race to be stacked with Philly and Atlanta in that race, and the Mets as well, but Florida's kind of run away with it so far. They were just swept, though, by the surprising Pittsburgh Pirates, who are 9-6 now. They've pitched 3 shutouts in 4 games earlier this week, so they've definitely been impressive. But we can look at the Indians for a little bit. I guess the Indians are 6-10 now. They won this afternoon, beating the Royals, but really have struggled putting the bats together with the pitching. They've kind of gone back and forth with that. When they win, they blow teams out. When they don't need to, and then when they need that hitting, it just doesn't happen. They lost 2-0 yesterday, and finally hit a home run. Grady Sizemore, a 3-run home run today to win a game, but. Indians 6-10 now. They got a few teams ahead of them, but nobody's really jumped out in the AL Central.
Yeah, and I think for all Cleveland fans, I actually like to see when the Indians struggle a little bit because all the Cleveland fans can kind of be quiet. But for the Cleveland Indians fans that are out there, don't worry because keep in mind, they only played 3 home games in their first 14 games. They didn't win a lot of those road games, but you're not expected to. They come home on their homestand. Now they have a chance to maybe creep back in that AL Central. They will be okay. It's very early. They play 162 games. Don't get too worried.
Yep, and of course Cleveland fans have that one athlete to look ahead to, LeBron James, I think his name is. So
yeah, I think his number's 23.
23,
actually.
Yeah. He wears 23, and he wears a headband, does chalk and everything. So the Cavaliers making their run to the postseason as well, and it should be very exciting here coming down the stretch for this, and also AU Sports, the AU baseball team, trying to get into regionals. They'll get into regionals, same with the softball team, but baseball team has made it to the World Series in 2 of the last 3 years, looking to make it 3 of 4 this year, and in that never-ending quest for the national title. So hopefully they can do that. That'll be played in North Carolina towards the end of May. So
nice
hopefully that'll turn out for them as the weather gets warmer down in North Carolina. And that does it for this season of Game Time Situation. I know I'm leaving it in good hands with you, Matt.
That's right. You can tune in next year to Game Time Situation and get all of your AU athletic news right here.
Thanks for joining us all season. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.